What is up, though, Lions fans? It's your boy, Motor City Don P. We are back for certain. Three things for sure when you see me in front of your TV. Number one, the Motor City Cats are indeed back at it. Number two, we came to give you stats, not none of that static. Number three, and perhaps the most important number of them all, number three. Want to make we got a packed show for you today. We're gonna break some people's hearts. Vacancy as it chugs along very, very slowly. There's been one candidate, one interview. Um, Fortunately or unfortunately, wherever you stand on the situation, he has not been offered the job, at least not formally. I've got some thoughts on it. We talked about it yesterday as the news basically had broken about 30 minutes prior to me going live. But I feel like I had some thoughts about it, and I have some more thoughts about it today. So we're going to talk about that. But make sure that you keep your Lions news pragmatic. You may be asking yourself, how, Don? How, Mr. P, does one keep their Lions news pragmatic? Well, it's very easy. It's very simple. I'm gonna let you know. I'm gonna tell you. I don't keep information from you guys. Smash like button, subscribe, share with your peoples. And once you've done that, you've indeed kept your Lions news pragmatic. Doesn't matter which order you've done it in. And it's speaking of your peoples. Once you've shared this with your brothers, your fathers, your sisters, your mothers, your cousins, your uncles, your fathers, your brothers, your sisters, your uncles, your brothers, you name it. You name it. You have indeed cared about those people. What up, though, everybody in the chat? Justin May, the rapper, says last Sunday was my birthday. I turned 36 years old. Well, congratulations to you on making it to 36. If you're from Detroit, you know how good it feels to be above the age of 18. Well, if you're from certain areas, if you're from the east side like me, you already know what it is. My mic is going in and out. I don't know. Is it still doing that? Mic is good now. Okay, cool. What up, the Irv Gotti says, I hope that Dan would not offer the job to the first potential candidate. I hope so too. Boy. Hi, Jody. What up, though? All right, so let's go ahead and jump right into it because there's been a hot name. It's not David Blau. He's not the hot name. He's a name, but there's been a hot name. And players were blindsided by his departure. It was a mutual parting of the ways. And then first, we started hearing rumors swirling about the Baltimore Ravens having interest in this man. And again, I just don't think that that's a smart move for the Baltimore Ravens or any other team. This man's not a good head coach. Maybe he's a phenomenal offensive coordinator. Maybe he's a phenomenal quarterbacks coach, but this man is not a good head coach. And that man is Cliff Kingsbury. And we all thought that it was to pursue head coaching vacancies why Cliff Kingsbury went into Dan Quinn's office and felt the need to recuse himself, to felt the need to step aside. But that actually wasn't the reason. I've got an article here that tells you what the reason is. And this is also the reason why I don't believe what is happening here. Why I don't believe that Cliff Kingsbury will wind up in Detroit. Sorry, guys. All right. So it says why Commanders head coach Dan Quinn reportedly wanted to move on from Cliff Kingsbury shortly after it was learned on Tuesday that the Washington Commanders and offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury had parted ways. A report shared that second-year quarterback Jaden Daniels and other members of the Washington offense were blindsided by the move. According to NFL insider Albert Breer of Sports Illustrated, Commanders head coach Dan Quinn was responsible for the decision that seemingly shocked Daniels. Now, before we move on, this article is by Zach Wasink. Doesn't give an organization, but I obviously will always tell you who wrote the article when I'm reading from someone else's article because that's just good practice. That's just good business. All right. So Cliff Kingsbury, Commanders had fundamental disagreement. Here's what you guys need to listen to. Okay. Kingsbury is massively popular with the players, including QB Jaden Daniels. Breer explained, with that established, he and Quinn met on Tuesday to talk through the future. The divide was wedged between what the Commanders felt like Daniels needed to take the following steps as a quarterback and where Kingsbury wanted to go with his unique scheme in 2026. There was fundamental disagreement there, which led to the mutual split. Now, here's the thing that you guys need to realize is that his unique scheme. Cliff Kingsbury has only been seen with mobile quarterbacks, right? Cliff Kingsbury was in he was at Texas Tech when Pat Mahomes was there. Cliff Kingsbury got the job in Arizona by saying if he had the number one pick, he would use it to draft Kyler Murray, mobile quarterback. Then he goes to the Washington Commanders and they draft Jaden Daniels, mobile quarterback. And then when Jaden Daniels gets hurt, guess who comes into the game? Marcus Mariota, mobile quarterback. And then after Marcus Mariota gets hurt, guess who comes into the game? Josh Johnson, mobile quarterback. You see, there is a trend here. We don't know what Cliff Kingsbury can do with a non-mobile quarterback, a statue, if you will, which is what we have in one Jared Goff. How do we know what he would do with Jared Goff? But that's not the reason why he's not coming. The reason will be revealed very, very soon. A 2024 first-round draft pick, Daniels earned NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year award honors while playing under Kingsbury. More recently, however, Daniels missed time during the 2025 season with a sprained left knee and a right hamstring injury before he suffered a gruesome dislocated left elbow in early November. The Commanders shut down Daniels after he aggravated the elbow injury in week 14. In the end, Daniels accumulated a record of 2-5 across 7 starts during his second pro campaign. Do Commanders already have Cliff Kingsbury replacement in mind? ESPN's John Kiem also touched upon the Kingsbury Commanders divorce. Kiem wrote that there was a divide in what style of offense to run moving forward, according to multiple team sources, with Quinn wanting to run the ball more to control the clock and help the defense. Done. Okay, that's it. Cliff Kingsbury obviously wants to throw the football more. Dan Quinn wanted to run the football more, and therefore the divide happened. They split. They mutually parted ways. No way in hell, after we just saw what we saw down the stretch, 0 running game, right? 0 running game. Jahmyr Gibbs in the last 3 games or before the Chicago game had a total of 68 yards from scrimmage. I'm not talking about rushing yards. Yards from scrimmage in 3 games. That was Jahmyr Gibbs. There were no holes. There was no nothing. So Dan Quinn wants to run the football more. Cliff Kingsbury doesn't. And that's why they parted ways. Therefore, we talked about Cliff Kingsbury having decent running games when he was in Arizona, but I also said he had a mobile quarterback who helped out in the run game. So Cliff Kingsbury is off the table. I don't know if you guys are commenting or let me refresh this because there was an issue a little bit ago. Okay. All right. So Cliff Kingsbury is pretty much off the table. David Blau. There is a mixture of feelings across the Lions nation, the Lions pride, the fandom, whatever you want to call it. David Blau is not the old crotchety Johnny Morton. He's the young, innovative mind, the new hotness. Right? That's what David Blau is. He's the young, innovative mind because he played in the league for 3-4 years. Then he went to the practice squad, came back here in 23. Then he went to the Vikings, and it was with Kevin O'Connell. And then he went to the Commanders. And at the Commanders, he's the quarterback's coach. Oh, no, I'm sorry. He's not the quarterback's coach. He is the assistant quarterback's coach. He is an assistant. He is not the actual quarterback's coach. That's not his job. So what he does, he doesn't call plays. He doesn't have any experience. And he got the interview because he's a former Detroit Lions quarterback. He's a former player. You know how Dan Campbell and his whole crew love their former players, right? Damn near most of their coaches are former players, right? Coach Shep is a former player who also played for the Lions for a little bit. Dan Campbell is a former player who also played for the Lions for a little bit. Deshae Townsend, former player. I don't know. Is Jim O'Neill a former player? I don't think Dave Phipp is a former player. But you see what I'm getting at. Hank Fraley, Scotty Montgomery. Now, I don't know if Scotty Montgomery was in the NFL. Tashard Choice. It's 90%, I would say, former players. Osama bin Johnson wasn't a former NFL player, but he was, I think, a quarterback at North Carolina. So he got up to the university level. And they've got a way that they like to do things, and that's cool. That's fine. Step outside of the organization. This is what I said yesterday. Step outside of the organization. The familiarity, all this other stuff, that's great. That's good. It's awesome. Step outside of the organization. Here's the other thing about David Blau. He's the young, innovative mind, yet we don't know anything about his innovation. We don't know anything about his play design. We don't know anything about really anything. He's a relative unknown. Now, I did hear something earlier about someone mentioning David Blau and someone's eyes lighting up and say he's going to be an offensive coordinator in the next 5 years. In the next 5 years. Okay. There's a lot that can happen in 5 years. You've got 365 days here, 365 days there, 365 days there, 365 days there, and 365 days over there. There's a block of 365 days in every year. That's a lot of days every year. That's roughly what? 3 times 5. That's 1,500. Let's say 3 times 6. That's 180. So that's 1,680 days plus another. What's that? So almost 1,700 days. Okay, 1,695 days, if I'm not mistaken. Someone check the math there. What up, though, Mr. Morale 313? So I got 1,695 days. Am I right? I don't know what David Blau is going to be. He's had one interview. He's been the only interview. I'll be interested to see what other names pop up in the interview process so that we can understand what type of competition he's up against. And I've gone to the extent to bring some names forward for you guys. I had my secretary go through and compile a list and talk about the people, and we're gonna get into that in a second. Let me get to your comments. Belinda Brown says, "Hi, just tune in. Brought my daughter back to LSU. Maybe Detroit can use some Tiger blood. Maybe, maybe. I don't know. You find any down there that's good? Let us know. Do you know if they paid Morton's complete 3-year contract? I don't know. I don't know. That's Sheila's money. I don't care nothing about that. You know? uh, I don't want Blau, but I do believe he's being judged on his playing career versus football acumen, which you are correct. We know nothing about. So I'm not doing that. I know other people are doing that. I don't want Blau because, again, as we said, we don't know what his football acumen is. Okay. Somebody said he's going to be a coordinator in the next 5 years. Who knows? Apparently, his face lit up. I didn't catch who said it. Okay. All right. We've got some candidates here. If you will allow me, let me go through these. Okay. Dan doesn't have time to hope. Dan doesn't have time to hope that Blau is good. He needs a proven coordinator. This is year 6, not year 2. Those are facts. And shout out my boy Easy. Shout out my boy Spimo Racks, Woodward Heavyweights. I heard them saying that basically, I think it was Easy that said that if you bring in David Blau, he feels like Dan Campbell is still going to be the play caller, which I think defeats the purpose. Dan Campbell's a good, not great play caller. No one can say that he was great last season. He gave himself an F. The thing that always sticks out to me is when Johnny Morton was calling plays, Dan Campbell comes out and says, yeah, that's something I would like to see happen. When he was asked about David Montgomery, yeah, I'd like to see him get the ball more. And then Dan Campbell took over plays and he continued to not get the ball. Like he took over play calling, he continued to not get the ball. So if you're now the play caller and you wanted to see David Montgomery get into the game and you couldn't figure out how to get him into game because you're like, well, yeah, you know, game situation, this, that, and the third thing, but you couldn't dictate terms. We need a play caller who can dictate terms. Okay? In the NFL, you are going forward in all of football. The offense is going forward, the defense is going backwards. The offense dictates terms, the defense reacts. Now, if you have a dominant defense, then you have the defense dictating terms. Brian Flores' defenses dictated terms to you twice this year, and you had no answer. Johnny Morton didn't have an answer the first game. Dan Campbell didn't have an answer the second game. So, no. If you're bringing in a guy like David Blau and you feel like you need to hold his hand and bring him along and Dan Campbell still needs to call plays, no. As Jay just said, this is year 6. It's not year 2. If Brad Holmes loves the Rams so much, why doesn't he call Mike Martz and bring him out of retirement? Why Mike Martz? Mike Martz was here before. I wonder what happens if they grab a proven guy and that guy fails. Who do you blame? The unknowns are endless at this point. Yes, they are unknown. Yes, they are endless. No, you can't guarantee anybody. You could bring in Bill Belichick as the head coach of the Detroit Lions and he could fall on his face. You could bring Bill Belichick in with the same roster that he had with Tom Brady. Go back in the time machine and they could fail. There is no guarantee that they would succeed. But what gives you a better chance for success is to go with someone who has a track record, right? That's why when you go to get a job, they want to see your resume. When you talk about experience, they want to see, okay, where's that list of experiences that you have? Where's the documentation that proves that you know how to do this job? Right? And it's not a requirement for you to do well at a job to have done the job before. But the problem is, we just saw Shep go out there and fall on his face. So it is the recency bias. It is, we did this way and it didn't work. So we really don't want to do it that way anymore. Okay? That's what it is. If you look at Johnny Morton, who was a guy who is chummy, buddy. He'd been here before. We're comfortable with him. He failed. He sucked. Guess who else did that? Anthony Lynn. Right? David Blau might be phenomenal. He might be. But he also might not be. I'm going to give Dan Campbell a pass if Dan Campbell brings in Kevin Stefanski and Kevin Stefanski falls on his face. Because there was no reason to believe that Kevin Stefanski would fall on his face because Kevin Stefanski is supposed to know what he's doing. I'm going to give Dan Campbell a pass if Todd Monken comes in here and we can't run the football at all. We have to look at the offensive line. Did the offensive line work? Did we address that? All these things. So there's a lot of factors that you have to look at. But the problem that we have is we had someone who came in here was so egregious, and Johnny Morton talking about J-Mo, deep shot, and couldn't get this man the ball the first 9 weeks. He had 100-yard game in the first 9 weeks. Or something like that. It was very, very, very scarce. We have to go all out and throw the damn bag. Cannot go off what ifs and wishes. Facts. What up, though, Lamino Cardenas? He says, for me on former backup QB DB, thumbs down. Lots of thumbs downs. Matt Nagy, Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly is terrible. Chip Kelly has never worked in the NFL. Never. Didn't he get fired by the Raiders during the season? Chip Kelly's offense worked at Oregon. That was it. Didn't work anywhere else. You need a fired head coach who got hired as a head coach because he was a good coordinator, not a coordinator who got fired for being a bad coordinator, a.k.a. John Morton. Facts. I love Shep, but Dan better go find Brian Flores and lock him in a room with bags of cash until he accepts the deal and becomes the Lions DC. That's what we want. The only question I would ask is how long the new OC gets to turn things around, being that this team has quite a few holes. It depends on how quickly they fill the offensive line holes. if they go all out this season, this off season, and they use money, because I know they're averse to it, if they use money to go get a top end center, and a top end tackle or guard, whatever, and then they spend their first round pick also on the offensive line. Okay. You're expected to have a dominant offensive line once again. That's why you do that. Okay. Joe Thuney, who plays for the Bears, was acquired, I think, for a third and a fourth. Well, you don't have a third because Brad Holmes likes to throw them away on Broderick Martin, Isaac TeSlaa, and Hendon Hooker. Isaac TeSlaa specifically because he said, hey, 3/3 is good for this guy. Also, Manu, let's throw away third round picks on him, so trade back into the fourth to grab him. So, there's some things that you can't do. There's some players that you can't get. During the offseason, Ryan Poles used all three phases of roster building. He used trades, he used free agency, and he drafted. Trades, free agency, and draft. And then they found a stud from Rutgers in the 7th round in Kyle Monangai. In the 7th round, where you're not expecting people to contribute at all except special teams, they're going to find a running back who would complement DeAndre Swift. We're trying to go find in the 6th round an edge rusher who would complement Aiden Hutchinson, who never saw the field and who's just signed a futures contract so that he can't be poached. So if they fix all the holes that they have offensively, I'm talking about on the offensive line. I'm not even talking about the defensive line. If they fix the offensive line holes, this new coordinator doesn't have excuses and he doesn't have a whole lot of time. And that's what you want to do. You want to give him no excuses. Hey, you came in here and we stacked the cupboard. We said, hey, kids, we about to go away for a while for the weekend. Go in the pantry. All the chips and the cookies, all the snacks, fruit roll-ups, all the Kool-Aid, all that is in there. Help yourselves. Right? We left dinner in the oven. Right? And we got some nice cold beverages in the refrigerator. There's also some cold cuts. And get some cold cuts. Get some cold cuts. Woo! 44, that's me. Gonna get some cold cuts today. Okay? There's some cold cuts in the fridge. Some sandwich bread out here. Some crackers. Whatever you need, kids. We're going on a trip. And then later on that evening, your children are calling you and they're saying they're hungry. Bro, what? How? You didn't know how to make yourself a sandwich, Johnny Mo? You didn't know how to go and get some snacks, Johnny Mo? You didn't know how to go and cold and pour yourself a beverage? You talking about you hungry and you thirsty? Johnny Mo. So that's what we want. We want to stack the whole deck for this offense, and we want to give the offensive coordinator carte blanche and say, go do what you do. We got the weapons. We got everything we need. That's what I'm looking for. Is Todd Monken available? He should be. We're gonna get into some of the candidates that I've come up with. So basically, Brad didn't have anything that any other team wanted. Potink. It is. It is a classic. All right, let me get to some of these candidates. Okay, so here we go. All right. So with the news of John Morton's firing on January 6, 2026, Dan Campbell is looking for a partner who can refine the Lions' identity as a bruising but explosive offense. All right. So I specifically asked for specialists from the 49ers, Rams, and Ravens. Why did I do that? Because I want to run the damn football. Because we know if we run the ball, play action is wide open. And when Jared Goff gets into play action, that's what he does at an elite level. Jared Goff was Tom Brady-esque in play action. Okay? His numbers go up, right? His numbers go up, y'all numbers come down. Okay? So that's what we need. We need Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery to be Sonic and Knuckles again. Okay? Not that I like the nickname. I still don't like the nickname, but I'm just saying the tandem, the duo. We need them to be that dynamic duo again. What's popping? We see that man popping. We like Batman and Robin. Okay? Dynamic duo. Okay? So that's why I selected these four teams, or these three teams, the 49ers, the Rams, and the Ravens, because they can all run the damn football. Okay. Three teams that represent the absolute cutting edge of NFL run design. Here are in-depth profiles for candidates from those specific coaching trees. Now, we're going to go through these guys one by one, obviously. We're going to talk about it. All right, the San Francisco 49ers tree, the wide zone architects. The 49ers scheme is about creating horizontal stretch. Okay, we're about to get real deep into the football. You know what I'm saying? So if anybody, what up, though, Tactical Sport? If anybody needs a breather, I'm just going to tell you, we're going to get into this. I'm going to stop after each candidate. I'm going to ask you if you like what you heard, and we're going to move on. Okay. The 49ers scheme is about creating horizontal stretch to find vertical lanes. It's perfect for a back like Jahmyr Gibbs, who thrives when he can make one cut and explode. Chris Forrester, who is the assistant head coach / offensive line coach. Now, that's going to be important later when we talk about these things, how to acquire these people. The blueprint. Forrester is the silent architect of the 49ers run game. He doesn't just coach the line, he designs the blocking angles that make Christian McCaffrey so effective. The strategic value, he excels at the wide zone scheme, but more importantly, he's a master of disguise. He makes every run block like a pass and vice versa, which would keep defenses from stacking the box against David Montgomery or Jahmyr Gibbs. The Lions factor, Forrester is a veteran, 30 plus years. If Campbell wants to remain the vibes and culture leader, but have a head coach of the offense to handle the X's and O's, Forrester is the perfect senior statesman hire. Now, obviously he's old. He's 64. And I know on offense, we want the new hotness. You know, you got the old busted hotness. I got the new hotness. Okay? Hashtag if you know, use the hashtag. If you're telling me he's 64, yet he knows the San Francisco 49ers run game front to back, back to front. Guess what that also means? That he coached with the father and the son when we're talking about Shanahan. He's got the knowledge from Mike and from Kyle. Kyle made him the assistant head coach so he could keep him by his side and pay him more money. I don't know if he wants to leave Kyle, but if you offer him an OC position, which is more important than the assistant head coach designation, then it is what it is. We could poach him if he'll take the interview. 64, you may not want to make waves, may not want to move anywhere new. You're comfortable, you know what I mean? But hey, you can be the OC, you can call the plays, and you can fix this damn run game. What's the That's not, we don't know. What is That's not telling me anything. He's too old for you or what? All right, moving on. The next guy, Bobby Turner, running backs coach, San Francisco 49ers. The blueprint. If you want to know how the 49ers consistently turn late round picks into 1,000-yard rushers, the answer is Bobby Turner. He has mentored everyone from Terrell Davis to Raheem Mostert. Strategic value, he teaches vision coaching. He focuses on exactly where a back's eyes should be on every snap. The Lions factor, Turner is legendary for his no-nonsense approach. In Detroit, he could help Gibbs refine his practice, his patience behind the line, turning 4-yard gains into 40-yard touchdowns. It's Bobby Turner. Now, if Bobby Turner, again, has mentored, who to say? He has mentored everyone from Terrell Davis to Raheem Mostert. Here's what you got to understand. Who did Terrell Davis play for? Who he play for? Terrell Davis played for Mike Shanahan, who is Kyle Shanahan's father. So he coached with Mike, the father, and he's now coaching with Kyle, the son. We are getting to the root of the San Francisco 49ers run game. By far, the most dynamic rushing attack in the NFL right now is the San Francisco 49ers rushing attack. I don't think I need to say too much more about why you go to the head of the table and ask the head how things go down. I don't think it's rocket science, folks. I need to know something. I go to the best. As humans, we always want the best. Hey, San Francisco 49ers, let me come holler at you about your run game. Now, our run game was pretty damn good, but it also, a lot of the scheme, a lot of the complex stuff, the setups, all that stuff, a lot of that went out of the door with Usama. A lot of people don't want to admit it. I call him Usama. He's a damn good coach. I don't like him. He's a traitor and a terrorist. That's why his name is Usama bin Johnson. But he's a damn good coach. Everybody wanted to say all season long. Well, not all off season long. This is Dan Campbell's offense. Usama didn't have nothing to do with it. Now, did we have offensive line problems? Yes, we did. Is that Dan Campbell's fault? No, it's not. But maybe it is. Maybe it is. Maybe When he says he's in lockstep with Brad Holmes, he really is. And if he's really in lockstep with Brad Holmes, that means he's co-signing these silly ass decisions that he's making with these third round picks. And for those of you who are new here, and those of you that that they're just third round picks. No, they're not. A third round pick got you Carlton Davis, who you let walk out of the door. A third round pick got the Eagles Jaden Phillips this season. A third round pick got the Bears Joe Thuney. Third round picks have gotten people so much stuff. So if you can't draft a player in the third round with any competency, use the third round pick in a trade to get someone better. Because if all you can think of is, hey, it's a third round, I might as well throw this pick away because I'm just going to be a project. For what? Who does that? Who does that? Now we're sitting here with a bum-ass center who's really a backup. Now we're sitting here with a left tackle who is about to retire. Now we're sitting here with a left guard who didn't look great once Frank Ragnow didn't come to play. Now we're sitting here with a right guard who could be the one, but you want to move him to center? We're sitting here with a left guard in Miles Frazier, who everyone seems to think is the one, but we don't know if he's the one because he was injured all offseason through most of the season. And then instead of just throwing him in there, you were being loyal to Tristan Colon for some reason. When Mahogany was hurt. So we really don't know what we have except for Penei Sewell. That's one position out of the 5. It's early on tape. He looked like he's going to be good. He looked like he's going to be all right. But do we know that for certain and for sure? Nah, we don't. We don't. So, again, if Dan Campbell is co-signing these dumbass decisions, I don't know what to tell you, man. I don't know what to tell you. All right. Breaking news, Brett Fisher, our lead rehab guy, has been promoted to OC because Brad plans to bring in nothing but injured players. That part. What up, though, Tactical Sport? I like what he's offering, but let's see who else is out there. Okay. A little on the old side. He's old, too old. Okay. Give me John Harbaugh for what, Dom? What is John Harbaugh's specialty? Because we need an offensive coordinator. He's not an offensive coordinator. We need a defensive coordinator. He's not a defensive coordinator. He's a special teams guy. If go back and look through his history, he did some work on the offense. He did some work on the defense, primarily special teams, before he became the head coach. No, this is not a smart idea. I mean, if Tesla was a bum, I would care more, but he's legit, and we can let Raymond walk if we need to. That solves no problems. Khalif Raymond wasn't a problem. A third wide receiver wasn't a problem. Our offensive line was a problem. 3 third-round picks for a wide receiver. That's a luxury pick. Right? That's a luxury pick. That's a pick that you make when your offense or when your roster doesn't have any holes. And it's still questionable and debatable if you should make that pick, but it doesn't hurt at all because your roster has no holes. You're solid on the offensive line 1 through 5 and 6 through 10. You're solid on the defensive line, 1 through 4, and 5 through 8. You're solid in your secondary. You got 2 good safeties and 2 good reserves. You got 2 good corners and 2 good reserves. You got 1 good nickel and 1 good reserve nickel. Not a bunch of practice squad guys. So this is the problem with that pick, with the TeSlaa pick. Not the player, the pick, the 3 third rounders, when we could have used them for other things. This is the problem. Whether TeSlaa is all world or not, guess what's going to happen? If you don't have an offensive line that can protect your quarterback, he ain't going to be able to get him the football. Right? Is it facts that I speak? That's all I know how to spit. You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm so good at this ish. No. We need someone who could help grow and improve Montgomery because he was truly off this season. Montgomery wasn't off. Montgomery just wasn't used. You know what I mean? Monty is Monty. At this point in his career, he's 28 years old. He is who he is, which is a very good bet. You got to use him. Because last year he was getting used. It was almost a 50-50 split. I think it was like 51-49. And he's getting his yards. He had over 800 yards, and he missed like 4 games with that MCL. So we were on pace last season before Monty got hurt for 2,000-yard backs. So we got to have an offensive coordinator that knows how to make it a 2-back system again. Make the Lions great again. Mahogany and Ratledge were very solid for their first professional complete seasons. Mahogany wasn't very solid. Nah, he was all right. Ratledge was solid. Mahogany often looked like a 6th-round pick out there. Cast a wide net, Daboll, Monken, LA Rams guys, Blau, get the best guy for the job. That would work. That would work. The no-brainer last season at the deadline was bringing Zeitler back from the Titans. No, you're wrong. You're wrong. The no-brainer with Zeitler was to never let him leave in the first place. That was the no-brainer. Never let him leave in the first place. That was it. Pay the man the little $9 million, and you know, I think they expected that they'd only need a left tackle this year or next. Nah, because you knew Frank Ragnow was retiring. You knew you had to get look. If I know my center has 3 toes, an inoperable foot, he just tore a pec and he's got to get away from football and let his body heal, which is what he was saying at the end of the season. If he's saying all that, if other players that he talks to, like Taylor Decker and Penei Sewell, felt that he was going to retire, where was your antennas as a general manager who's in control of all this? Where was your antennas? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I really don't. They needed to be somewhere where they were not. And using 3 third-round picks for Isaac TeSlaa is atrocious. Is atrocious. Especially, look, do y'all know Matt Cox? Pause. I've been listening to a lot of his podcasts recently. Matt Cox is a former fraudster who he got out of prison and he started a podcast, and now he's interviewing a bunch of people that he knew from prison and a bunch of people that are just criminals. You get a bunch of criminal stories. One thing that I've learned about criminology, because I'm not a criminal, I've never been to prison. Sorry if that don't give me no street cred, right? I've never been in prison. priors, right? Priors and criminal record points and escalators. What those things are is when you have a history, your criminal history, the longer that it gets, the more time that you will get for anything that you do. And it could be something small. It could be something small. He tells a story about a dude that's doing 30 years for like 8 grams of weed or something like that because his criminal history is vast. Brad Holmes has priors with these third-round picks. He's got a long criminal history in the third round. He's a third-round fraudster. Okay? His list of good things that he did in the third round is as long as Kirby Joseph. If you guys want to say Alim McNeill, I'm not going to argue with you, but I'm not going to necessarily agree so much about Alim McNeill. Kirby Joseph is certified. Kirby Joseph is one of the best safeties in the league, but now he's got this degenerative knee issue, which it wasn't a problem when he came in here. I think it just cropped up this season. So Brad Holmes got priors, bro. So the next project pick player that he picks, especially if it's in the third round, we're going to lose our minds. You haven't learned. And this is the thing with the criminal history. When you stand in front of a judge, man, you've been in front of me or you've been in front of other judges so many times. You ain't never learned nothing. I guess you got to get more time then. So if Brad Holmes fixes his mouth to get on the phone and call some unknown project player in the third round that wasn't even going to be drafted anyway and ask him if he's ready to be a Detroit Lion, and just like Broderick Martin is sitting at his home with his family, surprised that his phone rang, ain't even watching the draft because he didn't think he was going to be drafted. If Brad Holmes does that, it's a fireable offense because he's not learning. And he's being very, very arrogant. That's my point. All right. Oh my God. We just extended this man. What? Okay. Yeah, they played Monty this season. All right. Did anyone see O-line LT Tate Ratledge response when asked how does he feel being possibly named the center? He sure didn't look confident answering that, because what did he do? Play it one time in college? The guy's not a center. Like, just get an actual center. This is the thing that I'm saying. Like, we believe that we can coach anybody to do anything, and it's an Achilles heel of this team. The vet squad. All of this stuff. No, it's a practice squad. What do I say? They are professional practice players. They practice football professionally. They did not make anyone else's roster. They didn't make your roster. There were 32 rosters, 32 teams, and they didn't make a single one of them. And you have all the confidence in the world in these players, and not a single one of the teams, not even you, had enough confidence to put them on an active roster. But as soon as somebody gets hurt, you feel like they're supposed to come in and do the same damn thing. Get actual players who play the position. Stop taking right tackles and making them left tackles. Stop taking left tackles and making them right tackles. I get the Penei Sewell thing. I get that. right? On the bright side, in the end of the first second, you can usually get some of the best C's available in the draft. If he drafts one, I don't believe in Ratledge at center because it even if okay, let's say Ratledge is a great center, okay, then you've got to hold at right guard. You're not fixing the holes by moving a guy from one position to another because then you create another hole. And then it scares me when they do stuff like that because then they go, oh, throw in Coyote. What? Why are we throwing in Coyote? Well, the third round came around and I just had to have this project punter. You know, he's a punter, I know, but they said that man can kick a ball 100 yards. Imagine we get pinned in at the 1 yard line, our own 1 yard line, and we kick it down to the 1 yard. It's a complete field flip, guys. Obviously, we really believed in random punter guy in the third round. Now obviously, maybe he wasn't gonna get drafted, which is a lot of what you guys say, but I got a lot of phone calls right after I drafted him and they were like, damn, I really wanted that guy. So that's why I made that decision. And next time when we're pinned down at the 1 yard line and he flips the field all the way to the other 1 yard line, I'm gonna pull the receipts and Carlos Monterez. I remember you said it was crazy for me to draft the punter, but no, I don't want to hear that bull crap. I don't want to hear that. You know what I mean? I don't want to hear it. His worst picks thus far are Giovanni Manu and Sione Vaki. Sione Vaki is not a bad pick because he's a 5th round draft pick. No one cares. He's a 5th rounder, right? This is where you take project players. But the problem with Sione, not only is it the injuries, is that the dude barely played running back and you drafted him to be a running back. You could have had yourself a little box safety who could have filled in for Brian Branch when he got hurt. But you didn't. Only way you're going to fix Brad Mouth is to zip it. I think if Tesla puts together a season of like 808, Brad would not be afraid at all to move JMO. They're not the same receiver, and I don't know. Like I all the J at this point in time, JMO has back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons where he's caught like 60 balls or less. I don't know what it is. He's been extended. He will be here for 5 more years. That's what his contract says. Y'all that are so anxious to get rid of JMO, he didn't get in any trouble. He did nothing. But this man still can't catch a break from some of you fans, and I just don't get it. I really don't get it, bro. We're good. We got Hubbard. Exactly. How should we as fans respond tomorrow when Brad says we have what we need to win a Super Bowl? We just need to move a few pieces around. Yeah, we do have guys. I'm gonna tell you what, and I'm not gonna lie to you because you know I don't lie to you. We have exactly what we need to win a Super Bowl right now. It's called the off season. Free agency, draft, and trades. That's the opportunity we have right now to win a Super Bowl. We have everything in front of us. Will we sign free agents? Will we make trades that make sense? Will we draft players that we need to fill in these holes? Will we come out of this offseason as a complete team or have some dumbass punter that we drafted in the third round? So everything in front of us is what we need to win a Super Bowl next season. How's it going to play out? Stay tuned. Stay tuned. No, his worst picks are Hooker, Levi, Breakstraw, Manu, Broderick, but not Baki. Facts. Facts. Big facts. If Rat moves to center, could Frazier play right guard? I mean, Frazier played like all the freaking positions on the line, but again, we're going into the season with another rookie from the 5th round. We did that with Mahogany, and it didn't work out great. Okay? If we're going into this season with a rookie on the offensive line, I need him to be one rookie, and I need him to be highly drafted. Or I need him to be one rookie, and I need him to fall to us in the 4th round, because we don't have any 3rd round picks. I mean, we probably could finagle into the 3rd round. So I need him to fall to us in the 3rd, 4th round because someone released a bong video with him wearing a bong mask like Laramie Tunsil. Okay? I need him to fall out of the 1st round into the 2nd, 3rd, 4th. Okay? That's what I need. And everyone else around him, Penei Sewell, Tate Ratledge, whoever you're going to get at left tackle, whoever you're going to have in there at left guard, they need to be veterans. If your left tackle is the rookie, the rest of the line needs to be veterans. Free agents that you've signed. Not everybody free agents, obviously, right? We got 2 people right now who we know for sure. And we can't even say Tate Ratledge for sure is that guy. We think he's going to be that guy. He looks like he's going to be that guy. He had a decent enough season as a rookie for you're going to be like, yeah. When the game slows down for him in year 2, he's going to be phenomenal. We got 2 guys. We don't have more. We have question marks everywhere else. We can't have multiple question marks on this offensive line if we're talking about protecting Jared Goff. I mean, it's just that's it. I just think the wide receiver that can run really fast archetype is replaceable. Yes, that's all he does. Yep, for sure. That's all Jameson Williams does. He has one route in his route tree. It's a 9. It's a go. Yep, for sure. I don't want this to happen, but knowing Melvin, Cornelius, Ignatius is a good one. I'm taking that one. It will happen. In my opinion, if Ratledge was moving over to center, then he should have been taking snaps at center the last few games. Well, they thought that they were going to win those games. Well, you know what I say, fire Melvin, but I know I'm the minority. We need to get more offensive line help. Yes. From this discussion of obvious mediocrity, why don't the Lions just let Brad Holmes walk? They're going to give him a chance. He's made the bed and to lie in it, and they're going to give him a chance to remake the bed. Campbell and Holmes under contract until after the 2027 season. Yeah, so let's see if they get extended. I would say that you're talking about Barry and Megatron, but just not on the same team. I'm convinced that Brad Holmes did well in the first two drafts because he brought insider knowledge with him when he departed from the Rams. Maybe, and he was supposed to be part of that insider knowledge. I think Miles Frazier will be good. I don't know that, and that's the problem because Jared Goff needs protection, as well as the RT who has arguably earned a gold jacket in 5 years. Because other teams were being stupid. Yes, we got Penei Sewell. Because one other team was being stupid. We got Aiden Hutchinson. Now again, I offer you the what if Aiden Hutchinson didn't fall to us? Would that have been better for Brad Holmes? Because he would have been able to see that, well, we don't just have one player and that's our pass rush. Maybe he would have been more aggressive in trying to make a pass rush happen and would have made the mistake in his part of getting 2 or 3 really good guys that could rush the passer, like accidentally. Bradley, Melvin, Cornelius, Jerome, Ignatius Holmes. Numbers don't lie. Yes, they do. You don't watch me very much, do you? Because I break down just exactly how numbers lie. Gibbs and Amon-Ra have better production thus far in their careers. It doesn't matter. So Gibbs, by your metrics, Gibbs is better than Megatron. And I'm sorry, Gibbs is better than Barry, and Amon-Ra St. Brown is better than Megatron. Okay. Guys, should I time him out or what should I do? Y'all let me know. Ooh, buddy. Because numbers don't lie. All right. Cool. We also have 17 games. All right. When Jerry Rice set his record of 22 touchdowns in a season, he did it in a 12-game season. Or was it 14-game season? No, I'm sorry. He didn't do it in a 12-game season. He did it in 12 games. He did it in 12 games. Melvin Gluteus Maximus Holmes because he's cheeks. Booty butt cheeks. Said let him go. He's funny. Okay. They broke all of their records. Awesome. Records are made to be broken. Also, game is different. It's not the same NFL. Brad better stand 10 toes down tomorrow, accept responsibility, and share how he is going to fix everything. Need to add Bartholomew to Melvin's name. Yep, Bartholomew is a good one. I've been using that one. That's like saying Jordan is. Oh, okay. All righty. No more for you, thanks. This man's troll game is top notch. This man's troll game is top notch, man. Hey, I appreciate you. Don or Dom DW5FU. I appreciate you, man, for making my day. All right, because your troll game is awesome. It's awesome. No, Jim Brown played against plumbers, not Barry Sanders. Barry Sanders wasn't playing in the 40s and the 50s. Bradley, Melvin, Jerome, Cornelius, Bartholomew, Gluteus, Maximus, Ignatius Holmes. That's a good one. That's a mouthful. All right, y'all. Let's do one final mailbag. What you gonna do? What you gonna do when they reading you? Mailbag, next, mailbag. Get your mailbag questions in. Get them in. Bask in it. Maybe I'll put out the rest of the candidates that I came up with in a video. It's hot as hell outside right now, so I don't know if I'm going to be recording anything from my car today. If so, it'll be uh late as the sun gets ready to go down and it's cooled off and all these things. So if I do videos about these people, um it'll I'll post it, like, y'all be able to see it first thing in the morning. Um Smart draft signings and elite out of house OC like Dayball and a premier C and Robin backup, you get 13 wins and Super Bowl contention. I don't know if Dayball is exactly the answer, but yes, I get what you're saying. Back when linebackers were 300 pounds. Yep, that's why they couldn't tackle him. And wore shoulder pads the size of dog food bags. Yeah, gave you more surface area to hit. Mailbag, how cocky will Ignatius be tomorrow? Brother, Brad Holmes is a smart dude. Okay. I'm not like other people who sit here and like insult coaches' intelligence and everything and call him the stupidest coach in the world because they have dreadlocks or anything like that. So Brad Holmes is an intelligent man. I don't think he'd have gotten where he's gotten without intelligence. If Brad Holmes gets up there and is cocky tomorrow because he doesn't have the ability to read the room, then I'm going to be very vocal about firing him. If he gets up there and he gaslights us tomorrow, I'm going to be very vocal about firing him. Because if he does all that, then as we go into free agency, we can have no hope of getting anyone good. And as we go into the draft, we can have no hope of him changing his strategy because he had a couple drafts where his strategy worked out. But then it's good that we don't have any third round picks because he's going to take a project and he'll probably do it in the fourth round. If you get up there and you can't read the room, then what's the point? We're just going through the motions at this point because he's not going to get extended. They're going to let him walk. And that's 2027. So we got to deal with this for another 2 years. So that's my point. Mailbag, when we starting mock draft sessions? I really want like the Super Bowl to be finished to be doing mock drafts. Then we've got all of the information. Like I said, I'm gonna try to finish my simulator by the end of this weekend. And we can test it out on air. But like full mock draft session, like really like let's hold on. We'll get a little taste. We'll get a little taste in these 4 weeks. Well, I should say 5 weeks, 6. Yeah, 6 weeks. Do you think it's possible or worth it to entertain Crosby? No. No, because again, we've got to use those draft picks now. When you didn't have holes, right? And we wanted to trade for Crosby, and you're like, oh, we can give up a first and a third. Can't do that now. We need all of our draft picks to try to replenish this team and go out in free agency and do something. I would agree with that. I'm not going to say he's a bad GM. I'm not going to say he's a bad GM. He has a problem. And if he can admit that he has that problem, he has an addiction to projects. He falls in love with his guys. If he can stop doing that, he'll be fine. If he can't, he's got to go, figure it out somewhere else. I'm not saying he's dumb. He's just one of the most arrogant GMs I've seen who hasn't admitted he's wrong about anything. No, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about someone who is banned from this channel because of his racism. Who is worse, Cleveland Browns GM Andrew Berry or Brad Holmes? You'd have to say Andrew Berry for the simple fact that his teams have done nothing, and he also did the Deshaun Watson deal. But I think that was more so Jimmy Haslam who wanted Deshaun Watson. Actually, very similar to the Pistons' previous GM, Troy Weaver. I guess. If Brad Holmes gets up there tomorrow and is cocky again, the frustration and attention is going to turn to Sheila to do something. Yes. Big facts. He can't get up there cocky. Whatever he thinks he has to be cocky about hasn't worked. He needs to get up there and be accountable for his actions. These are facts. All of them, y'all are all spitting facts. Fair enough on the mock start time. Okay. What you think of Bailey as a DE and what is his pressure rate? I got, as I said, y'all got to send me prospects that I can zero in on. Because I've not been really in the college football loop for the last couple of years. I think he'll be all right. He's talking about me. He banned me, but I got out. No, you didn't. And I'm not talking about you. Barry, I really don't understand how he still has a job. Yeah, he's got some pictures. Tried to hit me with that yearly JMO suspension. This guy. I don't think we pay Muhammad at all. He outpriced himself. He was getting 1.34 million, and now his market value is 8 million, 8 point something. So I don't think we'll do it. All right, y'all. I gotta go ahead and get up out of here. Now, in a change, we will be here tomorrow. Same time, 8 p.m. We will talk about the Brad Holmes press conference, the Dan Campbell press conference. We'll do all that. So we'll dissect it. We'll break it down. I'll make sure that I check it out before I come on. And so we will be here. As I said, we'll make this change for the off season. And if I can continue it throughout, then I'll be on 5 days a week instead of 4. All right, just like everybody else. So appreciate y'all once again. Prime spot to be traded. You can't trade him. He's a free agent. Those are just a few positions, huh? All right. Once again, the Motor City Cats R&D back at it. We came to give you stats, not none of that static. Whatever you do, make sure you keep your Lions news pragmatic. And we're out. Peace. We'll see you tomorrow.